I want to go backwards for a second to the end, or the clip that I was talking about last stream about Dave Hollis. It's one of my most cringe moments of Dave Hollis that I've remembered through these years. I remember watching this interview in full and I was like, whoa, that is a fucked up thing to say. And it's sort of relevant to that boring ass podcast we listened to him about, talk about Pancakegate in a very vague way, where he was like, I really messed up. I was the one who needed to get a life. That's as far as he went. He didn't go into detail about what he did specifically. He said that he was, a different person, overworked. He just was so, wrapped up in becoming a New York Times bestseller for the second time that it got him all riled up and whatever. And he's like, I need to be in integrity. I need to prove to myself that I can, stick to something, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so that's what he's saying in 2022, after being canceled, after being, going through this whole thing. But he was saying the same shit in 2020 with an even more smug take on it. Like, now he's more like humble king, but not really. But I think he's trying to take the humility road because people just absolutely despise him at this point. And in this clip that I'm about to show, it's not the whole thing, but just the one part, he's definitely got the I'm better than you, but I care about myself more than the average person. So that's what makes me a good person, if that makes sense. So here we go. Without further ado, this is not my this is my favorite clip because it really shows who I think he is as a person, but it's pretty insulting, I think, to his own fan base. It's not the important part, but I think it sets it up what the heck he's talking about.
Very well too. And I've talked to people about, like, there's power in the darkness. And I think there actually is power in the negative visualization. And sometimes looking at the beautiful things you want to do, sitting in gratitude, they are really powerful tools, but they're not the only tools. Have you used negative visualization in other ways? Like, is that still something that you lean on?
Yeah. I mean, there's a 45-minute montage at my funeral. Like, it's long. And it's one of 2 movies. And I can stay connected to people not caring about the 45 minutes that play because of me having wasted the rest of my life. Because I just don't have this, like, my wife happens to have a furnace of motivation burning inside of her every day. And I don't relate to it. I can't connect to it. And so when I wake up in the morning and I don't want to do it, I have to stay connected to wanting to have the movie play the right thing. I had this opportunity to take a few days to just get...
Can you imagine living your life for your 45-minute, which is a long time, I think, for a funeral slideshow? Can you imagine living your whole life just to have a good, replay of your funeral? Like, you're literally living so that when you're dead, people can look back at you and go, wow, what a good guy. That sounds miserable to me.
Get clear. And it was right around the new year. And I went back and thought of every time in the last 2 years, 5 years.
And this was posted, just so you know, in 2020. So that's the time frame we're talking about. So yeah, he looks like a different person completely physically, I would say, in 2 years. But his mental state is similar, I think.
That I was at a low point. And I wanted to try and find the common denominator of what it was at that low point so that I could, every time it maybe started to present itself, keep it from happening. And I found that there was unbelievable consistency in each of my low points. And that is, I had either proclaimed to myself, my family, my employees, or the world that I was a certain thing. And then I showed up as something that was disconnected from that thing. And the dissonance between who I said I was and who I knew myself to be in the privacy of my own head as my head hit the pillow, that dissonance was pain, was shame, was unfulfilled potential and regret. And so I am on a mission to close that gap. Like, every day my alarm goes off, it is an if-then statement, right? If you say that you want to be this thing, if you are legitimate in your claim that this is who you are now, then you better get your ass out of bed, get your shoes on, and get out in that garage gym. right? Like I'm right now getting ready to head out on the road for this tour to support this book, and man, I am excited for it. But I've done the if-then equation. If I want to have the energy that has me fully present and pouring into the audience, then I got to get my health right, I got to get my mind right, I got to get my spirituality right. Like my healths, all of the healths have to be whole. It's if I didn't, right? Because I'm good enough to actually convince them of whatever it is that I want to sell them, but I'd know, right? And the dissonance between them believing that I am actually who I say I am and me knowing that I am that, that's where pain is. And by the way, that's also where the skepticism comes from.
Okay, that's the fucking line I'm talking about right there. I am good enough that I can sell them whatever I want, but I would know that I'm not telling the truth. This is what he was saying back in 2020. And now in 2022, after, thanks to Dwight Schrute. Are you coming live from Scranton? Thank you. 2022, he's like, I needed to learn the lesson of integrity. I never thought about integrity before. I didn't know, what it was, and I had no idea. It's like, how can you say that? He's like, and he was right in this case because he did become a New York Times bestseller through his first book, which is Get Out of Your Own Way. And that's the tour he's talking about in 2020. The second book, which is crazy. I didn't realize they were so back to back like that. That Built Through Courage, which apparently was supposed to be called something else about ships. Because I was reading this Washington Post article about them, the Hollis couple. And it was like, he's coming out with this new book called, or soon to be published book, Built Through Ships or something. I was like, wait, what? So I guess it changed names. But yeah, it's just like, that was very, very, very much eye-opening to me in the sense of when Dave wrote Built Through Courage, he claims here, like, I didn't think that anyone was going to want to go to a sick doctor. And I just wanted to help people and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's what he says in 2022. But in reality, I think he thought in 2020, I'm so good at selling. Look at Rachel. She's a totally different person behind closed doors, and people believe that she's such a sweetheart, caring about, women's rights or women empowerment. In reality, she's all about herself getting Louis Vuitton bags. So if she can do it, I can do it. And maybe that's where he got it. Maybe he got it from his own brain because he thinks he's so amazing too. Who knows where he got it from or who got it from whom. But I just thought that was extremely bold to say on a podcast or on an interview where the audience also probably watches. So his fans are the ones who is watching this, and they're going to be told, I can sell you whatever I want. Very weird. Very weird indeed. Not my thing. Simi says, Pello. Thank you so much. Are you from Canada?
We have a lot of really great friends from Canada.
Do they say Pello in Canada? I guess Dave acts like he's from Ohio or something. Like he's like a Midwestern dude or, I don't know. What will you consider Ohio? Like Northeast? I don't know. But he's from California. He's from Southern California also. So he's got the middle America accent, but is also from Southern California. And Rachel's got the Southern twang, even though she's also from Southern California. So thank you, Simi. I appreciate that. And for that, I will say,
you get more handsome by the day.